amplifiers today, or more specifically, amps you can use with your ukuleles. I recently did a video on a basic guide to electro, acoustic and electric ukuleles, so I thought it might be a nice idea to do a bit of a follow-up video and talk about what amps you can use with your ukes. So I'm going to take a little look at 3 different amps that I use at home and in school. They vary in their price ranges. So we'll look at the Marshall MG10, which currently retails at about £60. The Fender Acoustasonic 40, which currently retails at about £190. And the Fishman Loudbox Mini, which currently retails at about £260. So we'll have a little listen to them. I'll go through what features they all have, just to give you an idea of what you can plug your ukuleles into. So just a bit of general information about amps. First of all, you can in theory plug your uke into just about any amplifier. It's different for bass ukuleles. They really ought to go through a bass amplifier, but your normal ukes, you're fine with those. I'm going to do everything today on this Electro Acoustic, but if you want to know more information about electroacoustics and electric solid body ukes, go and check out my video on the basics of those. A couple of other little points as well. Generally speaking, I find that the acoustic guitar amps work slightly better with ukuleles, especially the electroacoustic ukuleles, but you can plug it into anything. It doesn't have to be an acoustic amp, it can be just a normal guitar amp. You could also plug them into PA systems, keyboard amps. You can even plug these into bass amps as well. And I should have mentioned, these are mini amps. You can put your ukes into huge stacks if you like, but I'm going to look at the mini amps today. Right, before we actually listen to the amps, I'll run through each of the features of the different amps as well. So the first one we're going to start with is the Marshall MG10. As I said, it currently sells for around about the £60 mark. This is a normal guitar amp. It's not an acoustic guitar amp. Something I should mention as well, actually. For the normal guitar amps, they do have features on them, effects, built-in effects, but quite often they are overdrive and gain. All right, so you get that sort of distortion sound, whereas the acoustic guitar amps tend to have reverb and sometimes a bit of chorus, which we'll talk about a bit later. So the Marshall, it's the cheapest of the 3 amps. It's 10 watts. It's got one 6.5-inch speaker on it. The effects that come on this amp, there is a gain and an overdrive, which we will hear in a moment. It only has 1 channel. What that means is you can only input 1 instrument on it at the time. It does have a headphone and auxiliary input, which makes it great because it means you can practice quietly, and you could plug in an iPod or an MP3 player to be able to play along with. So there we are, that's the Marshall. So the Fender Acoustasonic 40 currently retails at about £190. I actually bought a couple of these for school a couple of years ago. We've got some electric ukes in school, and I was looking for something mid-range, and these have done a brilliant job so far. So the features of the Fender, it's a 40-watt amp, so quite a bit more powerful than the Marshall. It's got 2 6.5-inch speakers on it. The built-in effects, it's got reverb, which we will hear in a moment. It's got 2 channels, and if you notice, the channels have got a really nice multi-input. In other words, you can put either an XLR from a microphone in, or a jack plug from an instrument in. All right, so a nice feature on that. Also, each channel's got its own reverb and its own equalizer. It's got a treble, a middle and a bass, so you can really tweak the sounds with this amp as well. It's got a line out. Now what that means is you can plug your amp into a bigger PA system and keep your amp on stage with you. So that's another really nice feature on that. And like the Marshall, it's got an auxiliary in, so you can plug your iPod or your MP3 player to play along, and the headphones out, so you can listen to it when you're playing. So that's the Fender Acoustasonic 40 and the Fishman Loudbox Mini. It currently retails at about the £260 mark. It was actually the first amp that I bought for myself specifically for ukuleles. It's 60 watts in power, so it is a little bit louder than the Fender. It's got a 6.5-inch speaker and a 1-inch tweeter on it. Like the Fender, it's got 2 channels, but you might notice they look a little bit different. Channel 1 is aimed at your instrument because it's got a standard jack input like you've got on your ukulele, and it's got a built-in chorus and reverb effect, which we'll hear very shortly. And channel 2 has got an XLR input because it's designed to work with your microphone, and it's got a built-in reverb on that channel. Now I sometimes use a wireless mic system which has got a jack input, so I've solved that little problem by using one of these, which is an adapter, and if I show you there, it's got an XLR one end and a jack, standard jack, the other end, so I can plug that into the amp and use my wireless mic system with it. Both channels also have an EQ with a low, mid and high. Like the Fender, it's got the balance output, so you can plug the amp into a PA system, and it's got an auxiliary to be able to put your MP3s or iPods in. I think there is actually a newer version of this amp which is Bluetooth as well. I haven't actually tried it in person though. So that is the Fishman Loudbox Mini. So I'm going to do a little sound demo now for each amp. I'm actually placing a microphone in front of each amplifier and running that straight into my Mac behind me using GarageBand. Hopefully we'll get a nice quality of sound for you for that. And for each amp as well, I will run through the effects on it, with and without effects, and show you a bit of tweaking with the equalizers. Right, we're going to take a look at the Marshall to start with. We're on the clean channel. I've put the volume about 3/4 up. Here we go. Onto the overdrive channel now, and I'll put this to about 1/4. I'm trying to match the volumes. Let's put the gain up to 12 o'clock. Gain up another 1/4. And we go full metal, trying not to get feedback. Here's the Fender. Now the volume is set lower on this one because obviously it's a more powerful amp. Reverb is turned off at the moment and the equalizer is all flat. Here we go. With the reverb turned up 1/4. reverb up to 12 o'clock. Reverb up again. And the reverb up full, which you wouldn't normally put it that high. Just to give you an idea, with a chuck, okay, you hear the bit of an echo. Okay, so I'm going to put the reverb back to midday, and let's just turn the bass down a bit and the treble up a little bit. So treble down a bit, bass up a little bit. And let's put the bass and treble flat and more on the mids. So the Fishman Loudbox Mini, equalizer is all flat, reverb and chorus are both switched off at the moment. Reverb up a quarter. Reverb up to 12 o'clock. Reverb up another quarter. And reverb up full. And our chuck. Okay, so I'm going to turn the reverb now back to about midday, 12 o'clock, and let's put some mild chorus on. And the chorus up to 12 o'clock. And the chorus, let's go full. So we pull the chorus back to mild, let's go higher with the low and lower with the high. Lower with the low, higher with the high. Let's go a bit more. And midday for the lows and the high, and more with the mids. And as this is my main amp, this is how I tend to have it, a little bit more with the low and with the mid, and I just take a little bit of the high off. I tend to have a bit of mild chorus and reverb. hopefully that's answered some of your questions about amplifiers and ukuleles, or at least give you an opportunity to hear some of the different makes. I will pop a link in the description below to my original introduction to electroacoustic and electric ukuleles as well. As always, if you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to drop them below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. Thank you for watching.